all here on August 25th, 2021, 10 a.m. for a second SAC review meeting for the project at 69 Garcia. Frank, I'd like to hand it over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Janie. The first thing, I'm going to call the roll of the SAC. And Lou Gilpin? Say here, please, we got to record it. Here. Harvey Hacker?
Here.
John Howe?
Here.
Okay, all SAC members are present. At this time, I'd like Dennis Budd, who is the team leader, or the architect, to introduce the applicant's team.
Yes, thank you, Frank. I'm Dennis Budd of Gast Architects. I'm the project architect. Our engineer and consultant team consists of John Stillman, Murray Engineers, Chris Korth, Murray Engineers, Nick Fabretto, FTF Engineering, John Del Pino, FTF Engineering, and Sky Garrison, FTF Engineering. And I see all are present, although Sky I do not see present at the moment.
Is the Nick going to be there?
John Del Pino is there.
Huh?
John Del Pino is there.
Nick, if you could unmute yourself
Oh, yeah.
and let us know if you'll address civil issues if Sky is not present.
Let me reach out to Sky before I answer to that question.
Oh, here comes Nick.
Okay.
Where's Nick? Nick who?
He's at FET structural.
Oh, yeah, he's Nick. Okay, yeah.
John Del Pino, the soaring design.
Right. There's Nick. So Dennis, have all your team logged on?
Everyone except for Sky Garrison, who's the civil engineer.
Del Pino's not.
John's on there. John's on there.
Yeah, everyone else is present.
Well, why don't I get started and when Scott joins us, we can.
So Sky has a hard time joining the meeting for some reason. So she's trying to join the meeting.
Okay. Nick, perhaps you could forward to her the join link button that you use to get on. She could also use that to join.
Yeah, I'll do that.
He just needs to put in your name.
Yeah.
That's her name.
Sky's a woman. Just
Sky. I'm sorry.
yeah, just as a reminder.
Where's she?
She has not joined yet.
Oh, Sky.
Sky. Yeah.
Okay, so on March 30th, before we get into the official meeting, it's the policy of the SAC review that the public be allowed to speak on any issues it so desires related to development or any aspect of living within the city and county of San Francisco that is not related to this project. So are there any attendees who wish to speak on any matter regarding the city and county of San Francisco that's not related to this project? Not hearing, not seeing any requests in chat. Janie, I believe we can close this portion of the meeting.
Janie,
do so.
Janie got to confirm that.
I don't see anything in the chat. Nobody's raising their hands.
So can you please close, if that's so be it, please call that portion of the agenda closed.
Okay. Consider that portion of the agenda closed.
Okay, so we'll move on to the actual second meeting first meeting was held on March 31st. Minutes were sent on April 21st, 2021. They are minutes that do not include the responses. So we need to put those officially into the record at this meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve the Structural Advisory Committee meeting minutes of the meeting held on March 31st, 2021.
I move to approve the minutes.
Mr. Hacker moved to approve. Is there a second? John Hobb seconded. John, you have to speak.
Oh, yeah, I'm second.
Okay. All in, any discussion? Not hearing any discussion. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Yes,
Say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. The second document is a document provided by the architect, Dennis Budd, who recorded the minutes, and it was sent to us on August 3rd, 2021, and it is the minutes with the responses. My copy, the minutes are in black and the responses are in blue. In an attempt to expedite speed up the meeting, I'm going to follow the format of the minutes. There were a total of 18 documents sent to us in the Dropbox, and we received them on August 3rd. And they documents 3, 4, 5, and 6 were plans. 7 and 8 were calculations. 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 were letters. And then, I'm sorry, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 were just support documents, but not related to the official documentation of this project. So the first item is the architecture, and it, Harvey, do you happen to have your copy of the minutes with the responses?
I've read the minutes, but I don't have the copy in front of me.
Okay, the comment that you made was that after hearing the introduction, Mr. Hacker understands why side stairs extend off property to the adjacent owner's lot. Mr. Hacker observes and questions that the front triangular retaining wall might be more compatible with the remainder of the design if it was stepped rather than sloped. Dennis Budd responded by saying that he agrees. He subsequently prepared a revised architectural drawing, A02, A1.0, A2.0, and it's also shown on the civil as C-300. Do you have those drawings in front of you, Harvey?
I don't have them in front of me, but I've viewed them.
Okay, would you like to see them on the screen?
Yes, please.
Can you put up a drawing? I think it's 1.0.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that. I think you have to allow me to share documents at this time.
Yeah, Jenny, from now on, I think it's going to be Dennis with the cursor.
What's that?
Can you let Frank Rollo share the screen with Frank Rollo?
Okay, there's which one?
Just open it up. It doesn't matter. They're all three of them. Oh,
There we go.
There you go, got it.
Okay.
We've gone through those. So there you go. So if you go to 1.0 there, there you go, 1.0 shows it in I'm sorry, you know,
We have to get there.
okay. 1.0 shows the plan, and then you showed it, there was a photograph.
A rendering?
A rendering, can you put that up?
Yep. We'll go back to the renderings.
Harvey, can you see that?
I can see that.
Is that,
I think that's a good improvement and fully satisfies the intent of my comment.
thank you, Harvey. So that response has been accepted. Okay, so intent met. The next item is a geologic review. Lou, there were various documents, but the one that's critical to the geology part, and do you have a copy of the minutes in front of you, Lou?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you know it, you under geologic review, you had item 11, which basically discusses the characterization, and you requested document the existing conditions on a geology map, detail mapping of the chert rock. So maybe we can go to that document, and Lou will bring up the document, and there you go. And I guess the first thing we need to look at is the detail mapping, which would be figure.
I think it's figure 1.
Thank you.
Sure.
There you go. And then the second was the orientation of the bedding, and then we can go on from there. But go ahead, Lou. Why don't you, your comments?
Yep. Thanks, John, and
Sure.
everybody for putting together your supplemental information. Appreciate that. I had a couple comments about it.
Sure.
I think the main takeaway I get is, although you kind of discredit the whole procedure a little bit, I think the goal was to characterize the nature of the bedrock there in anticipation of putting in these, 30-foot cuts, shored cuts. And I think what comes out of it is although there are localized areas subject to graveling and sloughing and
Yes, yeah.
sliding and stuff, kind of a ballpark estimate of kind of the magnitude of those, volume that's possible. Figure 12, the photo of the slide plane there, the rock scar. I'm not sure where
Yes.
that is.
Yeah. That's at the base of a existing cut slope there. Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
put that, Lou, we'll put that figure up. John, if you don't mind, we'll let Lou.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No worries. Yes.
Then you can comment too.
That makes sense. Sure.
There you go. Is that Lou Gilpin standing there looking at that?
No.
It's rock. It's Mark Bauman from our office.
Okay. Okay. What did you want to say about that, Lou?
Well, I think what would help, I think the contractor and me would be some kind of a description of the joint spacing, the fracture spacing, the potential rock fall volumes. Because although it's going to be localized, a block that came out of that scar could take out 2 workers if it were in the wrong position. And I think that was kind of the intent of trying to characterize the site hazards for the construction that's coming up. And typically you do that by saying, well, okay, here's a wedge failure. and here's the spacing on the various elements of the structure that allow, 3-foot cubic foot blocks to fall out of it. Some of that information may be captured in the talus pile, and I know that's pretty much just real small stuff, but there may be a block or two sitting in there that could give you a hint.
So are you requesting
Can-
that,
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, go for it.
yes, please.
No, John. Yeah, Lou, it's really difficult. I think when we went out there, we had a little bit more higher expectation of trying to find a little bit more joint orientations on that existing cut. We didn't feel, confident in some of the fractures that we observed there. So we really only had like two kind of primary joint orientations. And, I feel like I don't think we have enough information, given where the cut slope is at this point to, form an opinion as to, the magnitude of a wedge failure. And those two photos were taken on the kind of near the quarry slope failure over on the other side of Edge Hill Mountain, just to sort of emphasize kind of the magnitude of movement we may be looking at, and then the other photo above that just shows how wavy and lenticular some of the chirp bedding can be. And my opinion is that as they're cutting, Lou, they're going to be doing a top-down construction approach. So having that shored, really kind of substantially mitigates the concern. I don't think I have enough information to form those opinions in terms of the magnitude. So that's sort of our response,
Okay, so that photo 12 is not on the site.
No, it was on the other side of Edge Hill Mountain.
Okay, that wasn't clear at all from your report.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't get that.
Yeah, no, I was trying to, putting in site photos, maybe, I was contemplating doing it or not.
Sorry
but
to
I think
budge in there. It does say
Yeah.
off-site photos there, Lou, on the title, see ready
Yeah.
figure to off-site photos.
Okay, okay.
So, okay, so, but I think, well, Lou, go ahead. You have.
Yeah, so moving forward, I still think there's a concern for letting the contractor know what kind of size. If you just put a pattern bolt set in there, you may hit one of these wedges, or you may not. I think it needs full-time observation by the geologist, and they need to spot the locations of the bolts according to what structures and bedding and stuff. And if that upper picture in figure 12, I don't know where to put the bolt. I mean, that it's kind of but in the lower one, you kind of get a hint that block coming out of there. So it's going to be hit and miss. But
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I agree, and that's what we state in our letter. Indicate that we would like to be out there, full time to kind of observe the cuts, and if we can provide some information at that point in time, absolutely we would. It's really tough to, like you're saying, to figure this all out. But having us out there, and if we see something adverse, we could raise it at that time.
Well, I'm going to, no, I'm not going to suggest, I'm going to recommend, and I hope that the SAC agrees, that number one, that the geologist, well, let me back up. I'm interpreting the bolts pattern and spacing that is shown on the on the shoring drawings to be illustrative only, and that the actual spacing and an angle of the bolt installation will be established during the excavation. I believe the only person qualified to make the decisions regarding pattern, spacing, inclination is the geologist. So I am recommending to the SAC that we, as a part of our approval, recommend, as part of our approval, that the architect state clearly on shoring drawings that full-time observation will be required, and the word is will, during any and all excavations of cuts, including access cuts for the drill rig on the east side of the project site.
Can I add something, Frank? Yeah, we'll do our best. I mean, obviously we are licensed geologists and so forth, but it is very complex. Yeah, if it's pretty, straightforward and intuitive, yeah, we can make that, form some opinions and so forth. I believe the cuts are only 4 or 5 foot high. So that's, that's favorable.
Which cuts are you talking about?
The shoring, it's going to be top-down shoring construction, Frank.
The cut,
Where they're gonna,
the cut
yeah.
is 20 some odd feet. The bolted cut is not 4 or 5 feet high.
Oh, I'm sorry. As they sequence down, the unretained slope face will be not more than about, 5 feet is what I'm saying. Yes,
Right.
you're
No,
correct. It's 30 feet down maximum.
Yeah, I know, and
Hey,
we
John.
understand that, but what we're saying is that as you progress down in those cuts, right now you show a bolt pattern of 7 by 7. I'm surprised that you went that wide, but that's fine. All we're saying is that I want the geologist to look at the cuts as they're
Yes.
made so that the pattern, inclination, and spacing can be adjusted for the conditions that are exposed as the cut is made.
That seems reasonable, Frank.
Okay,
Hey, Frank, this is John Delpino.
sure.
What are you thinking? No, it's when we changed from the soldier beams to the more of a rock anchored wall.
Right.
We have to, for several structural reasons, we need to create these weldments to anchor off the tiebacks, to load into the wall. How much of an angle change are you thinking might happen? Those things have to be built in advance, and it's not like every tieback can be on a different
Yeah, actually,
angle.
I don't envision any angle change, but I need to put that in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you change one angle, it affects another tieback. It affects a lot of stuff. It's not.
Yeah. So no, I that's a judgment call. I don't expect that to be the issue. The expression, to me, and I think to both Lou and I, it's a matter of you're going to come upon a wedge that if you keep excavating, it might fall and hurt someone.
Sure.
So you might want to move that bolt closer to the previous bolt, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And the other cut that needs to be looked at is the cut that, and I think my orientation is right, is on the east side where you're coming up the easement to put in those soldier piles.
We don't have soldier piles anymore. We just have the wall.
Pardon?
It's a concrete wall.
But you're making a cut there.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and to gain access to that, and because you're so close to the residence at, what is that, 69? What is that? I can't see the one next door. 69?
We're 69.
Oh, sorry. Well, what I'm saying, John and John,
71.
71, you've got a slope below that residence, and then we're gonna make a cut through in the easement. So it's important that that cut, be looked at also as part of the excavation. That be looked at as part of the special inspection.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can we dive into where the cut is? Because my understanding is the cut's actually at the easement to subject property line. And that excavation into the easement isn't as extensive as we might assume it to be. Perhaps John and Matt might want to address that a little bit. I understand the shoring wall to be basically in the easement at the property line.
yeah, but so the cut though has to be a slope at that, isn't there a temporary cut being made? Have all the soldier piles been eliminated?
Yeah, after the previous meeting, we went back and redesigned without
Okay.
the soldier beams.
Okay.
It's in essence the same design. Tiebacks are a little closer together, and the concrete wall replaces the soldier beams, kind of.
Okay, so the cut's not going to extend into the easement, only the rock bolts extend.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Correct.
Okay.
There is an access slope, correct, in the easement? We're doing the access slope and benching in the easement. That's still going ahead.
no, we're not working in the easement at all, other than drilling.
Okay.
So there's no access in the easement.
Right, other than the thickness of the wall.
Right, so you're gonna come up through the center of the site to get to each level for the top-down work for the jewelry.
Right. Yeah. The last couple drawings in our set show the working from the top down, grading level,
So that-
ever
okay.
increasing larger flat spots with the work starting up in the southwest corner and then working
Okay,
down.
so that's SH 401.
400, yeah, 400 shows the plan of how it looks, and then 401 shows an idealized stepping down vertically.
So
So
you're gonna walk up those inclinations, and then you're gonna cut down and put your bolts, so your rig will sit on each pad as you go down.
right, and it's a similar looking the other way, looking to the south.
Okay, all right, so that explains it. Access through site, okay. Not easement. Lou, any other comments on the geology?
Yeah, I mean, this may be a formality, and I noticed it on the original report too. But John has a GE stamp, but there's no CEG stamp. And since this is a hillside ordinance kind of thing, I don't know if the county would require that or whatever, but that's just formality from my point
Yeah,
of view.
you do, we do. It's gotta be, he's got he's put his CEG number of 1868, and I think DBI will require that, John, you're gonna have to put your geology stamp on there too.
Okay, yeah, no
For
problem.
the May report as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
The May report and the August 2nd.
We can do that.
report. The May is the 2018, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and then August 2021. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Other than making sure there are notes, just a continuous observation during rock bolting. I don't have any other comments.
Okay, so provided that note is, and it should appear multiple times on the SH drawings. For example, I'm opening the SH 212. That note should be on that drawing. I'm opening 21210. That note should appear.
Okay.
And I believe there should be the special inspection observation form. You can show that, there's room on SH 001. You can put it on that drawing if you wish. And check the appropriate box having to do with shoring and excavation. I think it's the excavation. I think it's on the structural.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's on the building structure.
Yes.
Um,
And
the
it's,
special inspection requirements on the building structure set. Does this need to also be on the short?
yes, because you're gonna be making your cuts on that. And it will be box number 12 and 13. And 21A. Yeah. Okay. We can now move on to letters 10 and 11. 10 and 11 I'm sorry, letter 10 and 11. They're number 10 and 11 in the documentation that was sent by the architect. Number 10 is the supplemental recommendations. It provides lateral pressure recommendations. And 11 is a plan review sign-off letter. And both of those letters are, the supplemental recommendation letter is dated July 22nd, 2021. And the geotechnical plan review letter is dated August 2nd, 2021. I had reviewed, as the geotechnical member on the SAC, I have reviewed both letters and deal with the supplemental recommendation letter. That letter presents recommended lateral pressures for temporary and permanent walls on the basis of my understanding of the subsurface conditions exposed in cuts and the findings of Murray engineers in their geologic reports. I concur with the values presented in the letter dated July 22nd, 2021. Okay, we'll get to that when we talk about this. We can look at that one later. Okay, letter number 11 is the geotechnical plan review letter. It's a 3-page letter. It's signed by Chris Court, and John Stillman, and the appropriate stamps are on that drawing.
Is that correct, or do we need the CEG stamp?
No, you do not.
Do not.
It's fine. It's a geotechnical record. It indicates that Murray engineers have reviewed the architectural, structural, shoring drawings, as well as the calculations, as well as the civil drawings. Can we put that letter up on page 2? It says temporary tiebacks are planned along the right, west, and left east excavation phases. I'm sorry. The west face will have 29 in total, and the east face will have 4. And I think I counted them correctly, and I agree with that. It may be that you may want to number them so that if there's an issue, if you number them on the drawing, when they make if they make changes as to their location, they can just indicate what that bolt represents. So I'm suggesting that the showing drawings number the bolts
In the elevation of the rock anchors,
in the elevation of the rock,
provide a number at each bolt.
please. And that, so that if, when the final report is sent to DBI for occupancy permit, that drawing as built will show the same bolt numbers. And if there's any changes, you'll see where the change occurred. Okay. On that same letter, paragraph starts, based on our review, and then you go down, it says, we note that the foundation contractor is responsible for the stability of all temporary excavations at the site and the impact on the neighboring structures, property lines, and utilities. I understand that, but they're following the plans. They're making excavations. They're putting in the bolts where we tell them. I think what we're trying to say, what you're trying to say in here, the means and methods by which they do the work, they're responsible, but the design of their location is part of the project itself, the design process. So I'd like that sentence clarified somewhat, because as it's written right now, you're saying that he is responsible for the bolts, for the inclination, for the location. And we're saying we've established the bolt locations, we've established the inclination, we're going to make changes to those, but we're not going to put any less. Or so can you somehow separate means and methods versus design? John, can you do that?
Yeah, I think we can, it's, in terms of the exact locations and inclination and so forth, I mean, they're gonna have to survey all that in, but I think we can modify that statement.
Yeah, it's because right now the soil, the bolts are part of the design. The number are part of the design, all that. What we're saying is how you get there, how you do it is your responsibility, but you're going to put them in where we tell you to put them in.
Yeah, I understand the concept. We can work on rewording that.
Thank you. And so that's an action item. Also, this is a hard one. The last paragraph, it says, and I guess this is where the driller, Matt, you're on, but John, this is both you guys. The last paragraph on page 2 speaks to, we anticipate the bedrock will be marginally rippable, largely depending on the caliber of equipment. In our opinion, hoe ram, hydraulic breakers equipment will likely be required. It is also possible that specialized methods may be needed to be employed if the hoe ram and the hydraulic breaker is not successful in areas of localized mass rock excavation. I guess there's two parts to that. One, in your experience, Matt, working with Chert, do you believe you're going to meet refusal with the drill rig while you're applying the?
Not normally. For the drilling, it won't be an issue. It's just for the excavation, you might just have to use a ripper instead of a hydraulic breaker, which causes less vibrations. It should be no issue with a single tooth bucket, but
So
just a single.
How big a rig do you propose to bring? The ripper visibility is going to be a function of the. You're going to bring a D9 up there, or
A 14-ton machine would get up there.
40-ton machine, okay. So
the max ton for the uppercut we'll be bringing up is a 20-ton.
Okay.
The maximum up the top would be a 20-ton. Down low, you could bring in a 30-ton machine for the final bit of the excavation, but up top will be 20-ton max.
Okay, okay. But you believe that most of it can be done with either a hydraulic breaker or a hoe ram?
Yes,
Well, a hoe ram's gonna make more vibration than a single tooth ripper. But you believe you can get down to the depths?
Yep.
Because as you know, in San Francisco, blasting is not allowed.
no, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, okay. And you're not gonna make any cuts in advance. You're gonna proceed in a normal manner in that you're progressing your cuts in 4 to 6 foot increments and bolting as you go down.
We're going to follow what's proposed in the drawings.
Okay, good. That's what I want to hear. Then as far as I'm concerned, the Murray engineers have adequately addressed their review and cautioned the contractor as to the difficulty of excavation, and that the only item that needs to be perhaps a modification made to what I would call the third paragraph, where the discussion of stability is discussed.
Well, it's the second paragraph starting with "we note that," and the third paragraph
Yes.
starting with "we anticipate that." Is that correct?
Correct.
Those two
Yes,
sections.
yes.
Yeah.
So document number 12 is really part of the geotechnical, and I appreciate what you've done here. There is a proposal from Unicon. Unicon is well-respected, well-known and well-respected in the industry. They do pre-construction surveys as well as vibration monitoring. I believe that the proposal that was received dated May 7th, 2021 is no longer valid. It is, the scope is tailored to a drill soldier pile, and I recommend that I recommend to the SAC that we request that a new proposal, and that the monitoring, the cost of monitoring I see is really realistic, and it's not overly conservative. I would suggest that you keep the seismograph on the site throughout the excavation process. I think it's a couple of months. And he's giving you a continuing monitoring cost for that. Is that acceptable to, and I know the owner's not on, but will you convey that to the owner, Dennis?
Yes, it's our recommendation to proceed with not this proposal, but an updated one. I apologize that the scope of work isn't consistent with the most recent shoring drawings. I contacted Unicon immediately after the first SAC meeting. It took 6 weeks to get this from them, and we didn't have another 6 weeks to revise it after the revised shoring drawings were done. So I'll ask from Unicon to update the description of the shoring methods in the project description, and we'll get a new letter from them.
Okay, Jane, can you get on? Does DBI have any requirement for presenting the monitoring information during the course of the work, or is it a requirement of DBI that they present weekly reports or bi-weekly reports?
There is a provision about that. Willie, is that being implemented? There's an email that the
Can you ask
reports
that
are to
question
be
again?
sent to.
Yeah,
Oh, so that's a condition of the permit?
Willie, the question was about weekly updates on the observations.
Or bi-weekly probably be better. But is it a condition of the permit?
I didn't quite understand the origin of that question.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't make myself clear. During our first meeting, we required that they monitor vibration and that they do vibrations and they do a pre-construction survey. The vibration monitoring, the geotech will set a triggering peak particle velocity, and in most projects it's set at 0.2 inch second. And then changes are made accordingly if it exceeds that or if there's any evidence of damage. The question I'm asking is, those reports go to the geotechnical engineer. Will you require that the geotechnical engineer report to DBI bi-weekly or every 2 weeks on the monitoring program?
I think during constructions, they are supposed to self-monitor, and the contractors and geotechnical engineers supposed to be, or the geologists to be on site to see the site condition. I think that stem out on a small landslide during the pit excavation. If I recorded right, this particular site.
We're requiring full-time observation during all cuts. That's going to be a condition of the permit. But what I'm asking as a member of the SAC, do you want to be kept informed on a every 2 week basis of the monitoring of vibrations on the site?
I think I think what it is that the reporting procedure. That is going to be part of the special reporting, special inspection reporting. So what I can see that is I think as this progresses, in terms of the drilling and excavation, they should have the pre-construction meetings and agreed upon submittal time schedule with the building inspector, but not to be less than reporting to the inspection district inspectors less than 2 weeks interval.
Okay, we'll put that on the plan. 2 weeks, I think bi-weekly. So
Bi-weekly, yeah.
that's enough.
Yeah, and just a reminder that there's 2 types of monitoring. There's adjacent structure movement monitoring and also the vibrational monitoring. The first type is performed by Frederick Sayre, our surveyor, and the second is per the letter from Unicom.
Yeah, I'm actually referencing the Unicom because that's the pre-construction, that information should go to you and to the home, to the owners of the homes that are being monitored. Okay. It's the, and Willie's right, it's something you should make available to the DBI inspector, because I suspect what's going to happen, there's going to be a tendency for people to sense the vibrations at a much, much lower level than what caused damage, and you should be able to be prepared to discuss with them that, look, this is what we're recording and this is what we know caused damage and there's no damage or whatever. Okay.
Okay.
So with that answers geotechnical documents. I'm sorry, documents 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 were mainly information documents, and they have to do with the type of waterproofing that's being used. There's a document 14 is a fact sheet on the type of drill rigs that are being proposed. It's all the tieback. Document 15 was the earth retention, I guess, for erosion control and measures. Item 16 is a showing for excavations within street. I guess that document is something that's done between you and the city.
Correct. This is a sample exhibit that we will have to do with Department of Public Works.
And number 17 is a lateral tieback agreement and a consent to use the crane, and that's really beyond the scope of the SAC, so I have no comment.
Okay.
And that's it. And we now can go to the drawings, so we can walk through those at a pretty good pace. Let me keep my organization here. Okay, so we have, next item I would like to discuss is the civil. We don't have a civil member of the SAC, so I will ask everybody to, if you could put up the civil drawings, they're number 5.
Okay.
We do. Sky's on the call.
Thank you.
Hi, Sky. Would you do me a favor, Sky, on your drawing? And I'd like this to occur on all drawings. I mean, all plans. For some reason, the H line, which is a very important line, grid line, because you have a wall behind it, is not shown. We show the A, B, C, D, E, and F, G, but I'd like the H line to be shown, especially on your civil drawings, Sky. And if you look at C, yeah, for example, C310, the H line is the, maybe, I'm sorry, why don't you look at, yeah, 310. See where the stairs are located on 310? That's the H line. No, up there. It's the ones that go east-west. Down, right there.
Here.
Yeah, no, up from that. See the wall right there? That's a wall.
Yeah.
That's the H line. I think it's important we show that line in all the drawings.
Sky, are you muted?
Oh, yeah, I can add that.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
And if you look at the shoring drawings, it's the same thing. If you look at shoring, for example, SH202, it shows the F and the G, but it doesn't show the H line where there in fact is a significant wall.
I would note that the H line is missing also from the architectural drawings. We'll add them there.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think the civil shows any grid lines for that matter. So if we're adding the H, we're adding all the grid lines, not just the H.
Okay, can you do that?
Yes.
Is that difficult to do?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that way everybody out there knows that, hey, we're working along the H line. Anyway, it would make it easier. For dumb geotech, it's mind like me, it helps. Let's go on. The other, and I would, Sky, on your drawings, I would like a note 9 under excavation, underpin, and shoring. It'll be note number 9 that states something to the effect that all excavation shall be performed under the full-time observation of the CEG. And number 10, all soil, or I guess we're calling them tiebacks, all tiebacks will be observed, tieback installation will be observed, I'm sorry, tieback testing will be observed by the geotechnical engineer. I guess that should also go on the shoring, but we'll get to that. Okay.
If Frank, this is John, are you talking about Sky's drawings, the civil or mine?
I'm talking about skies on sheet C000.
Okay, I'm just wondering if that's redundant, because Sky's work doesn't sort of really start until my work time. All the kind of the civil stuff is being done.
But you're right, but she has a section 5, which is excavation, underpinning, and shoring. See it there?
Yeah, I mean, right, but that's not. I'm just wondering if maybe that's sort of redundant. It's not.
It is redundant, but since it's there, no need to take it out, just add a note 9 saying that all excavations shall be under the full-time observation. Just, but you don't have, but John is right, you don't have to say anything about the tiebacks,
Okay,
because that's,
so just observation by the geologist, full-time observation.
yeah. And,
Yeah, I don't want, it's hard to have all the language and reports and different sets of drawings say exactly the same thing, exactly the same way, so.
well,
I don't know.
Dennis, can you
Redundancy.
make sure that we say the same thing on all drawings?
Yes,
Okay. C3, the retaining wall, drawing C350. I'm sorry, C310. That, very hard to pick up in this drawing the subdrains. And to me, that's what's critical on these drawings. So perhaps we can, for the benefit of those of us that wear glasses, if you could indicate, they sort of get lost along, for example, at the H line, behind the H line, it's sort of lost in there. I see the cleanouts. Anyway, if you can somehow just bold those a little.
however, Sky would like to add clarity to the subdrains is fine with me.
Okay.
She used color on the previous plan to indicate the geogrid material, and that really stands out
Yeah.
nicely. Whatever you think, Sky, to better illustrate the drainage.
Yeah, I can make the lines colored in bold. The shoring wall is gonna be more of a weep through the wall that's more continuous than a solid pipe at the bottom, which is why you don't see like a pipeline behind that wall.
Okay, and now where, when you take, so are you taking, so you'll be taking these drains, you're taking everything to Garcia. So you're gonna have penetrations. How do you take them through the wall? How do you take the,
Right, so that the shoring wall will weep through, and then there'll be that gravity pocket between it and the house wall, which has
Right.
the subdrains at the bottom.
okay, but what, at the H wall? That's, you've got walls, there's a whole series of walls, and only the H wall has the void, I mean, the fill in. Maybe we should wait till we get to the shoring drawings, but I guess I'm asking,
The penetration details what you're
how,
asking.
yeah, the penetration, how you take the subdrains from behind the wall, how are you taking those to the street?
Right, those are going down under the mat slabs, and then there's the piping that goes to the left side of the site, and it goes under that walkway on the left to those catch bases and the planter right by the street.
I got it, I see that, but so you're penetrating through the mat, or you're putting them under the mat?
Yeah, they'll be under the mat. We added a couple details showing how the pipes get below the mat.
Okay, could you put on 350, C350? There are the details. Now, which one shows how you get under the mat?
So we have detail 11 and 12. Which takes, it takes that subdrain that's behind the wall and ties it into the drain below the mat footing. And then
Oh, I see.
12 is up there at the back wall. We have the pipe coming down through the footing slab.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see. And then that runs under the mat all the way to the stand traps and whatever.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Well, thank you. And And so as far as a member of the SAC, you responded to all the issues that I had regarding civil and drainage. Do any of the other SAC members have any comments regarding the civil drainage? Not hearing any. With the changes we've discussed, no further review is needed, and I'll frame that in the final. We've dealt with the architectural. The next exciting ones that are the John or the shoring. You're on, John.
Well, I can see completely different from the last time we met. We're changing into a different system, which is why I have say illustrate a little bit last time with a couple samples. Apparently, this is the way to go. But the only thing I could see that the spacing is basically a 7x7 grid. But most of the job I did in my whole career is all 6x6 maximum. I wonder this spacing a little could change a little bit of safety or OSHA against it, or I don't know. But I work many jobs, all use 6x6 grid maximum. So this apparently basically is about sometime but 7x7. But not all 7x7, only certain area. So the question is if the spacing is adequate, it's a permissible.
Well, I guess, John, the way I, as a member of SAC, I think because we put the requirement on that the bolts are going to have to be located with guidance from the geologist, that the 7x7 is the maximum spacing they can allow, but the geologists may in fact require some locations closer spacing, and that's why it's important to have a numbering system. So I think, and I don't know, Lou, do you agree that there isn't any OSHA requirement as far as bolt spacing, but you're right, it's very common to use 6x6. In fact, I've used 4x4. Lou, are you comfortable with the 7x7, knowing that it's going to be observed full time?
Yeah, I am. I mean, there's some huge loads on those bolts. I imagine the designs compensate for the spacing, and if they get 6x6, there's going to be very little room to kind of move them around and optimize them. I think it's just going to be crawling over yourself. I understand what John's saying.
Yeah, the reason, you know, we decreased the spacing from what we had before because of we didn't use the soldier beams anymore. I didn't feel as comfortable, but if you calculate the amount of drilling you have to do because of the high loads and the height of the wall, you know, if you went from 7x7 to 6x6 or 5x5, you'll double the amount of drilling you have to do. I mean, the cost of this job is already like extremely high, and it will just make it more extremely high to the point when, you know, I think at some point the owner will say, I just don't want to do this job. It costs too much. So it was balancing, you know, the loads, the drilling, the pressures, and sort of just the economics of doing the job.
But you agree though, John, that the pattern's fine, but the what we're holding the applicant to is a full-time observation by you and your geology staff, and so there may be locations where bolts are added, spacings are changed, and that really is directly a function of your observation. As you pointed out at the beginning of this this SAC meeting that you can't see what's in there now until you open it. So there's gonna bound to be changes. So are you comfortable with taking on that responsibility and locating the bolts as needed to maintain stability?
You're talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll look into, evaluating the cut slopes and, I think, given that the cuts aren't, I mean, the cuts are eventually very significant, but we're dealing with unretained cuts of, 5 or 6 feet. I think we can provide some input. I don't know, I wouldn't be able to guarantee that there wouldn't be a failure, but we will provide opinions with regard to that. And if we see something that is concerning to us, we would provide, recommendations for adding, adding additional rock bolts
Okay,
at that time.
that's all I can ask. Can we put up John Del Pino?
Mhm.
SH1, SH001 talks about the tieback testing. Oops. Would you mind adding a note that the tieback installation and testing will be observed by the geotechnical engineer?
I will if it doesn't already say that. I'd be surprised if it doesn't.
It says geotechnical engineers shall submit a complete report on the tieback testing to the shoring engineer and the shoring subcontractor as soon as possible following completion of the work. It's implied, but it's not stated directly.
Okay.
So maybe the lead sentence would be that the geotechnical engineer shall observe the drilling and testing, and then the second sentence will be that he's got to report it.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that.
Thank you. And also, if we go to, I'm going to pick a drawing, 2.SH210 as an example. What's not shown, I'm just using this drawing, are weep holes. There are no weep holes in this shotcrete wall.
Yeah, well, we showed it on, there's a detail that shows the mirror drain that we put, and I think we showed the weep holes there.
Okay, can you, would you be kind enough
Yeah,
to point that out to me?
it's on one of the new sheets. Keep going, Dennis. Yeah, there. Oh, go back one.
Well, we introduce a strip of a mirror thread.
Yeah, well, that's
A chimney drain between.
zoom in on the detail on the left, if you would.
It's just a 4 foot wide, 2 foot wide, that's all you need, like a chimney, drain it down.
Yeah, well, that's what we have. So it's dotted there, like the dot tiebacks are the dark dots, and then there's the mirror drain going down.
SH301
is the weep hole.
Okay, so
I think it says it right here, people, typical.
yeah, but what it doesn't show is the strip drain. Normally, would you put a strip drain behind? You hang a strip drain, and then you have the weep hole. You have the strip drain. So if you've got 7 foot spacing, you'd have a strip drain in the center at 3.5, and it's usually what, 2 feet wide, John?
Yeah, 2 foot wide, adequate. It's just a chimney down to the bottom.
Yeah, well, that's what is shown.
And back to the inside.
Oh, I see what you've done. You said, oh yeah, there it says drainage fabric typical. Now, does that occur?
Here are these lines. There's your chimney.
The intent's for it to be everywhere.
Okay, so that's on all shoring walls.
Oh,
Yeah.
How do I know that? It just says shoring wall construction sequence. So the contractor's gonna know that.
Yeah, I hope so, but I mean, I can write all shoring walls.
Yeah, please. There was an incredibly large slide that occurred on Edge Hill a long time ago. And go into the history of it, and Lou can give you a history of it. But we're just taking the precautions that are needed.
6-foot grid.
2 feet on center, or is the
Right
drain?
in the middle, yeah.
I see. What's the width of the?
Dennis, John Hobb provided Dennis with a photograph of one of his projects that
Yeah,
showed.
2 foot wide, the street down, you carry it down continuous down.
You can put it in front of the camera here. if you want.
It's hard to see even on the camera.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. Yeah.
You know
Oh,
it.
the last time you saw one of my illustrations,
Yeah, you know. So, John, do you have any more comments on the shoring wall?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But, definitely, they are using 6 inches rather than I usually 4 inches because the 6 by 6 grid I use. This is a 7 by 7. They're using 6-inch concrete shotcrete. It's a little, it's okay. It's adequate. I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just one more thing, just so you know, I designed the shotcrete wall to actually span and not rely on lots of arching to deliver the load to the tiebacks because of the potential fractured nature of the rock. So it's probably significantly thicker than it really needs to be, but
I think
since we don't know,
action just by lacking.
Yeah.
since we don't know exactly what the rock's going to be, I didn't want to take a chance on that.
Okay. You're the shoring designer. I have no problem with that. John doesn't either. All John was saying is that typically if you did the arching way, you'd wind up with a 4-inch.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I don't want to spend the rest of my life in prison, so I'm gonna.
Yeah. I'll come visit you, John.
You'll come visit, huh? You'll bring some extra food or something.
John wants to know, is the locking load, are you locking off at 100%?
No, 80.
80%, John.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah, and then 80 of the actual soil. We're not gonna lock off the earthquake load. That's in the.
No. I'm with you. Boy, I'm with you.
You have to lock in some low, otherwise the slab will slide down, I tell you.
Yeah, no, we're designing for 80% of the actual soil pressure load, and then the tiebacks are designed for all the other stuff.
Right, so for the lateral earth pressures, you've computed, you come up with a load and then lock off at 80% of that.
Right. The big number. Even that's a big number.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's what you get with 58. You get a big number.
Well, he reduced that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's 35 plus the back slope, so it's 48.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so, John, you don't have any other comments on the shoring?
No, I don't. It's a very well designed.
Well designed, so
And make sure that gets in the documents, okay?
John will put his stamp on it with you, John. So, so the only action item that's required on this is just to perhaps show the chimney drains detail and add the note about observation by the geotech and add the H line. Yep. Okay, the last document are the structural that was. Nick, you're on, and John, do you have any comments?
No, I don't. The buildings are well.
I'm here.
designed, well fortified.
Structural. Okay. So the only comment I have is show the H line.
Is it missing also in my drawing?
But no, yours has it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yours-
say that. My
yeah,
has. Yeah.
Yours has, wow, there it is.
I like the H.
There you go. Okay. Now, I don't recall the letters that you refer to, you refer to you know what would be helpful to DBI? If you could put on your drawings, Dennis, the geotext letter, review letter.
Okay.
Both on put the same letter on the shoring, and so Janie, that it's part of the documents, and it's not something floating around in the ether.
On the structural and shoring
Sure, because he's got to sign off on both.
and the architectural,
No,
just the shoring and the structure.
correct. And I believe you indicate that all site grading, fills, and soil coverage shall conform to the soil report, and all work shall be done under the supervision. If I were the geotech, I would, the word supervision does not apply to the to us. We observe the work. We don't supervise the contractor's people. So I would change the word supervision of the owner's soil testing lab or the soil engineer, and I would refer to him as the geotechnical engineer. But that's me. But if Chris and John are comfortable with it, you can leave it.
Yeah, Nick, go ahead. If you could take it out, that'd be great. Yeah, I mean, there's implications associated with that. I mean, we'll definitely observe and note compliance, but
yeah,
the supervision is another, liability level.
He'll be in the cell next door to John Del Pena's.
Yeah, there you go.
That's on S000.
S00, yes, no, under foundation and site preparation, note 2.
Note 2. Got it.
Just use the word geotechnical engineer shall observe.
Yeah.
And test. We do that.
Observation test.
At this point, Janie, Willie, do you guys have any questions you want to ask the designers regarding the project?
I do not. Karen, do you have any questions?
No, I did not.
Was Karen on?
Yes.
Hi, Karen.
Yeah, she's been on the whole time.
Oh,
Willie, do you have any additional questions for the project? He might be on another call. Not sure.
so,
Excuse me, I'm talking muted. Sorry that I was absent for the last 20 minutes. Because
so briefly, we've signed off on all the plans with some minor changes. And what I've asked is if we're adding some notes, we're adding some grid lines. We have more discussion on the drainage pattern, and there's going to be some minor changes to that. But in essence, from a geologic, geotechnical, and architectural and structural standpoint, we've basically completed our review and agree that the design, it's well designed structurally, it's well designed from a shoring standpoint. The architecture is consistent with the owner's request, and the civil is consistent with the site conditions. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask before I go on to the next section of the meeting?
I would like Karen Liang to see if everything is clear to her regarding the directions it is going, because Karen Liang is the plan reviewer for this project. So it's vital that this can continue on with the directions, or the conclusions of the SAC review, for her to, be provided adequate information so she could continue the review and finish the review. So Karen, you have any particular questions you want to ask the SAC to clarify the position?
Don't have any questions at this point.
You're very soft. I can't quite hear you.
Oh, I forgot to put my mic down. I don't have questions at this point, and it's clear.
Okay, thank you, Karen. So I will close the the SAC discussions. And at this time, I would open it up to the public for comment. And before I do, I want to comment on a Department of Building Inspection received an email from a neighbor regarding the size of the project and the potential issues and conflicts that construction will create with traffic flow, specifically emergency vehicles. The SAC, the scope of the SAC is limited to issues related to stability, seismic hazards, and design. We don't, well, first of all, we don't have the qualifications to comment or address any issues that impact planning. I would encourage you to meet with planning if appropriate and discuss your concerns. But it's my understanding that this project has gone through, Dennis, maybe you can respond, that your project has gone through planning?
Yes, we have gone through planning.
And they have addressed the bulk and the traffic issues?
Traffic, not necessarily in terms of the size and the bulk of the house. Yes, we are approved from planning for the size and bulk of this house at this location.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of the traffic issues, that would probably be under the jurisdiction of the Department of Public Works.
Okay, okay. So that, then, does that become, that's part of the permit process, Jane?
Yeah, yeah.
That'll go through that department.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the public that wish to speak? I see there's a dot screen. I don't know what that means. The red dot.
I don't see anybody raising their, oh, does Judith want to say something? She has her hand up. Okay.
Yeah, she says, we are the owners and occupants of 61. Thank you to the SAC for maintaining the integrity of this project. We have a couple of questions.
Okay.
She says, I am unable to unmute.
Okay. I'm allowing you, working on that. There you go. Can you speak?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Judith Plotz. I'm here with my husband. We're the owners of 61 Garcia and the occupants as well. We do have a couple of questions, and we were unable to come to the first meeting, so apologies and thank you for the time again. There was a lot of conversation, obviously, in terms of the structural integrity of the actual property. You know, as the stream, I'll say, or downhill recipient of anything that happens. How and where can we ensure that there's no impact to our structure and foundation during this excavation cutting? You know, I'm very happy with the fact that we're looking at the approval for a full, geologist to be on site, making sure that the seismic reports are going to DBI. But as we are now in this world of COVID, working from home as well, a 30-ton drilling machine is a little concerning for us as we understand, the impacts of that as a next door property. So the first question is what do we have as homeowners of the adjacent property to ensure that there is minimal impact to our property? And then we do have a couple of other questions afterwards.
I can only speak to the project. We've reviewed this project in quite a bit of detail. The designers have performed their work consistent with the standard of practice, and perhaps even to a slight higher standard than that. They have addressed all our concerns, which are similar to yours, and obviously our biggest concern is stability. We are requiring that all excavations be observed on a full-time basis, so that if conditions exposed that differ from what was observed in the quarry face that's around the corner or unanticipated, they are in a position to recommend to the design team that modifications be made. And in this case, modifications will take the form of additional rock bolts, perhaps additional drainage, should groundwater become an issue during construction. In addition to that, we required that a pre-construction survey be performed of the adjacent properties, and that those reports are made available, usually done in your presence, and then copies of those reports are provided to you, and then after construction, post-construction surveys are done, which see if there's been any damage. Of course, if there's been any damage, we expect it to be reported immediately. In addition to that, we've required that they monitor vibrations throughout the excavation phase of the work, because there will be vibrations, but we as humans feel vibrations at a very, very, very low velocity, and they only become an issue above a certain value, and that's called a triggering value, and that will be established by the geotech as to what that triggering value should be.
Can I interject on that really quick? One of the things in this meeting, obviously, was to provide the DBI those monitoring reports on a biweekly basis. I think I heard are those reports available also to the public? So would we be able to access any monitoring ourselves, just to make sure, as we, maybe feel a jolt, that our house is not being affected?
Jane, Willie, Karen, is it? They are public documents. Can you make those available to the homeowners can your inspector make those available to the homeowners on a bi-weekly basis?
Yeah, I think we can make that request. Yes.
And if there is a possibility, it sounds like Municon is the vendor, or excuse me, the company that's doing this. If there's some sort of portal or live thing that we could maybe monitor as well, that would be amazing.
Well, there is a portal, because it'll go directly to the geotech's office, and it goes to the design team's office. Now, I don't know about that aspect of it because that is owned by the client. That's something that's an issue that has to be worked out by the owner's representative, DBI, and Unicon.
Okay.
I can't, I'm sorry. I wish I could answer that.
No worries.
I can't answer that.
Hey, those reports, who are they coming from again?
Unicon will prepare a report at whatever frequency, and we're asking for them to be done bi-weekly. They will go to the geotech to look at. Well, the geotech will be able to monitor on a daily basis because they'll have a link to the seismographs that are put on the site. The reports, though, normally will go to the geotech, who would then put a letter of transmittal on and hand them to your inspector, according to Willie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, at that time, it could go to the homeowners.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the homeowners can be copied on that while those are being sent to DBI.
As geotechs, we can't do that. We send the client, we have to send it to our client.
Okay.
Or enter the city. We're not allowed to do that. That has to come from either the owner or you.
Okay.
I think it would be the neighbor's request to the property owner to have access to those reports would be the response. And I'd like to add two things. In addition to the vibration monitoring and adjacent structure monitoring by Frederick Sayre, we also have in the civil set an erosion control plan, right? Which is protection during construction in terms of runoff to adjacent properties. And in addition to that, the contractor, and this isn't in the drawings per se, will be providing protection walls and fencing along the property line to prevent falling debris, et cetera, that might enter the adjacent lot. And while that's not part of the shoring or building design, it is part of the means and methods of doing the work on site. And that will be discussed in a pre-construction meeting. And we anticipate the neighbors to be a part of that process for sure.
Great, thank you for that.
Yeah, just one note to add from the geotech viewpoint. It's not our expertise, to assess and evaluate ground motion. We have some knowledge with regard to that, but we could maybe engage a sub-consultant to provide input on that.
Right. That's something you can work that out, John. With I
Okay.
think the only thing really, the state sets a standard of 0.2 inch.
Yeah, right.
Second, we as human beings perceive vibrations at 0.01, so 200 times less than standard that's in all state specifications. So, so you can set a triggering. Triggering can be 0.4, 0.5, whatever you guys. There's a lot of text on that.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Jasper, Judith's husband. We both work from home, and we're a little concerned about our ability to continue to do that during this construction phase. What should we expect for especially the heavy engineering work, the excavation work? Like, is it realistic for us to continue working from home?
I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I think you're going to feel vibration. It just because the motions are traveling through the rock and they travel quickly through the rock, and so you're going to feel them. If it were a clay site, they'd be dampened, but they're not going to be dampened because of the chert rock. Is it going to be
it's just the vibration, right? It's also just the general construction noise, right? So I've heard 2 months of excavation, and then how long should we expect like heavy? I mean, we're literally thinking about moving out if we can move from work from home, right? If we can listen to other people's calls, and so on. Like,
let me ask. We have on with us the general contractor, Mr. O'Leary.
Jasper, how are you?
Yes.
Hi there.
I'm Matt. I'm at Ace Drilling. I'm the drilling contractor and the foundation contractor. I'd anticipate for everything to be us on site, we'd be approximately, hopefully off it before 6 months, but I'm giving us 6 months to complete that job. That's I believe a realistic goal for everyone.
On the excavation part, sorry, I'm not familiar with
Correct.
construction. Yeah, just the excavation, not the building of the house.
But as we excavate down, the retaining wall is being in place as we go. So
yeah,
kind of kill two birds with one stone in such a sense.
And in terms of a daily aspect, what are those hours set by DBI for this drilling to happen?
A general rule of thumb that we always follow by in a neighborhood, like in a built up neighborhood, we'd start at 8 a.m. Run machinery through to 4:30 and be cleaned off site by 5 p.m.
Can they expect noise?
Say that again, sorry.
Their concern is they're working from home and noise is an issue. Obviously, a drill rig makes noise, excavator.
Yes.
They're concerned about the level of noise and they're concerned of whether they should move out for a couple of months while the excavation is being performed.
We completed a job on Rhode Island last year, and it was drilling. Correct, with hard rock, and we had a dangle drill there, which was quite a different method that we're going to approach here in this job. Quite louder, and we had no issues with neighbors, and there was small babies and neighboring properties, and no one had to move out.
Would you be able to share the actual address of that site?
I could. It was 714 Rhode Island.
Great, thank you.
And that was a cut of 20 foot into serpentine rock.
And those were not disjointed homes, correct?
No.
They were attached.
Yeah, attached. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Dennis, this is John Alpino. At the beginning, you mentioned some kind of a barrier, like along the east property line. It should, a rock roll down the hill, which is going to happen. What is there a barrier that you could show Jeanette and her husband, or has that been worked out yet?
Sorry, was that question directed at me?
Yeah, I mean, I know they're probably worried about, material unstable on the hillside that could,
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, and then also the commentary earlier that if a slab or a wedge should fall on a worker, right? That's somewhat of a concern as well.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that maybe some kind of a fencing like you see along Highway 1 that catches that stray rock that rolls down the hill. Kind of a barrier along that east property might be a good idea.
Like a concrete K-rail?
No, I'm thinking, it could bounce, right? If something rolled down the hill, there's nothing to say that it's going to stay like right at the bay. A K-rail would be great because it would certainly catch something rolling, but something actually bounced up and got it past it.
The only catchment walls in the design documents are the permanent ones at the top of retaining walls, which we propose is 24 inches above grade, and that catches debris after the project's done. In terms of temporary fencing or walls at property lines during construction, our design documents do not provide a design for that particular barrier. That's going to fall to means and methods of the contractor. So if Matt wants to address what material or height of wall they've used on past projects, I'd be happy to hear that.
Well, that's something that needs to be worked. It can be worked out in the field, but the contractor's going to be generating a lot of earth. He might want to create an earth berm on the downhill side at each level of cut to catch anything. I mean, he's going to be generating a lot of material, or he may choose to put a couple of K-rails to deflect any rock from going onto adjacent properties. I mean, that's something, in my experience, but Matt, you can speak to that one.
On Rhode Island, as we started coming, we kind of did a top-down sequence as well. We worked from our back out, and we just put 2 K-rails in place. It was only a 25-foot lot, and we just put 2 K-rails in front of the site, which did deflect any rock that was rolling down the hill. Those K-rails are only 4 foot high, so maybe a timber fence might be sufficient built on top of the K-rail.
Matt, can you tell all of us what a K-rail is, please?
It's just a reinforced concrete pillar, probably around 4 foot high. It ranges to maybe 10 foot to 12 foot in length.
Thank you.
You can see him on the side of freeway construction there. Going down to 101, you'll see him there.
Yeah, and you see them all around the city too. They basically separate traffic from, they're made of concrete, they separate traffic from the workers, or they sometimes are used as a barrier, as a dividing strip between opposing lanes.
And just looking at the Google Street image of 714 Rhode Island, it looks like it was a corner, or it was there's an open driveway next to it, so there wasn't ostensibly 20 feet of rock above the property, the other property adjacent to it. Is that correct? Am I looking at the right one? Matt?
You're muted, Matt.
Dennis, there's going to be an agreement between our client and the two adjacent property owners, right? The west and to the east.
Correct.
So that they could work out an agreement in that as to what everyone feels is an appropriate protection.
That would be great. Thank you, John.
And then the GC just has to do it, right? You guys can work out a plan.
Folks, I need to, usually the public comments are limited to a couple of minutes each, but this was good because you're directly next door, but I need to adjourn this meeting by noon because I have a very important meeting that I need to, it's not a meeting, I have to take my wife to the doctor, so I'd like to get to the, continue with the meeting and discussions within the SAC itself. Are there any other questions that you have before I close the public session?
Not specifically to this. We might be in touch with the DBI then, just for those concerns, but thank you for the time.
And also, don't forget the Department of Public Works on the traffic issue.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other folks that wish to speak to this project that we haven't heard from? Janie?
I don't see anybody else.
Okay. So with that, with your permission, Janie, I'm going to close the public portion of the meeting.
Okay.
And now this discussion is with the SAC members. Let me make some opening remarks. I believe that first of all, I've had an opportunity to go through these drawings in quite a bit of detail like you have. And this project is a thorough, professional, very competent design. It is the geotechnical and geology part of it has been done, recognizing the complexity of the subsurface conditions. The design strives to maintain stability during construction, and certainly is designed to provide stability long-term. We did have some comments with the final set of documents that we received on August 3rd that I believe can be addressed by the design team without the need for additional meetings. I would like to propose that we make a motion to recommend to the Department of Building Inspection. Well, let me back up. I'd like to make a motion that states that after our review of the latest documents received August 3rd, additional site visits, and the results of this meeting, the SAC would like to the SAC recommends that DBI proceed with its review for approval and issuance of a permit consistent with its practices and procedures. The SAC is satisfied that the design complies with the intent of section 106 of the SF building code. Guys, what say you? John, you want any comment?
No. I want to make a motion to conclude this.
Before we make the motion. Harvey, any comments on what I'm proposing?
No, I don't think it's necessary to reiterate all the dozen or so detailed modifications that were requested to the various documents. And with that in mind, I would be prepared to move that consistent with the remarks Chairman Rollo just made, that the SAC recommend DBI proceed with the final review leading to the approval and issuance of the permit consistent with their usual practices and procedures.
Lou, how about you? Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
I've unmuted
Yes,
you.
I second Harvey's motion.
Okay. So we have we have a motion. It was seconded by John Hom and by Lou Gilpin. I agree with, so for discussion purposes, Harvey, I agree with you that we do not have to repeat all the action items, but I want to, before I'd like to see the minutes so there's a clear understanding of the action items. And maybe it would be best if we summarize them briefly. The action items relate to the full-time observation by the geologist and the appropriate observations by the geotech on the tiebacks. That we clarify the drainage issues, that we clarify the drainage, how the drainage gets to the street. What else? I guess
I have about 10 action items, and I'm prepared to provide minutes and let you all review them.
Okay. Okay. And some of these action items do require addition to the drawings. So once you've made the additions and or corrections to the drawings, do we have any problem with them, with the applicant's design team submitting those to the DBI? I don't.
Chairman Rollo, it's my opinion that the nature of the corrections and additions that have been listed is sufficiently clear so the SAC does not need to review them, but that the DBI plan checker will have adequate guidance to see that the appropriate corrections and additions are made.
Okay, thank you, Harvey. Lou, do you agree?
I agree.
John Hahn, do you agree? Okay.
And for the benefit of the person doing the minutes, the recording is available if any technicalities need to be clarified for the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I would like, the minutes though, when you submit to the city, include the minutes and the minutes and action items of the first meeting. That you can send the drawings on ahead, but that the minutes of this meeting and the action items and where they can be found on the drawing, even though Harvey believes, and I agree with him, that can be rather simply easy to see. In closing, I want to thank your patience. I think you've assembled an excellent design team, and if you can adequately address the concerns of the property owners, that I wish you a very successful project. So with that, I'd like to vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Meeting's adjourned. Oh, no, I need a motion. Will somebody make a motion that the meeting's adjourned?
I move that we adjourn the meeting fully 3 minutes ahead of Frank's deadline.
John Hobb, you second that?
Yeah.
John Hobb seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned, 11:57.
Oh, you too now. Lou, how's Virginia?